Well, it's a good evening from the studios in Brisbane, Queensland, Australia. So, a welcome to Andrena, who has put together our guest today from the UK as well. And I think it's going to be a great show. We've just been talking off air, and I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great ride, and it's a good morning to you, Andrena.
Morning, Jeffrey, and welcome everybody who are listening to Dreaming the New Dream, wherever you are in the world, or if you're listening to a replay. Today it's Thursday, the 25th of April, 2024, would you believe? Anyway, without further ado, it is my great pleasure to welcome Namaste Neptune Shade. Welcome, Neptune, and it's so lovely to have you on the show.
Namaste. Gratitude for having me here. Gratitude all. Namaste.
Right. Now, my beautiful soul sister, Dee Rice, messaged me and said, did I have space on the show? And I said, of course. So I asked her for you to get in touch. And I think you've been friends for about 4 or 5 years. So anyway, after making contact with you, we've had some lovely conversations, and I just love what you're about. You're a beautiful soul. So it's going to be a real blessing to have you on the show today. And I know you're going to share your journey, and I know we've had quite a few laughs about when you arrived in the UK, which I'll get you to go through again shortly. So, but let's start off. I know that your mum was sat on a beach, and her spirit guides gave her your name to be Neptune Shade, which is an amazing story. So would you like to share how you started, where you were born, and all the steps that have brought you here now?
Gratitude. When my mom was sat on a beach alone, and her spirit teams gave her my name to give to me, her unborn child. At the time, she was not aware that Neptune was the deity of the sea or a planet. And I came into this world, and at the age of around 22, a member of my spirit team communicated to me that I'm a priest. I rejected that because of the stigma that was attached to priest, or is attached to the word, to the individuals who held space for priest or who are priests. So I rejected that. When I was 26 years, which was my golden birthday, I was 26 on the 26th of February. And it was shown to me physically what my vocation is in this life, in this incarnation, and comprehend what it was then. At 12, I was to them. I came, and upon reaching 33, a member of my spirit teams ushered me into becoming a renunciate and into becoming sovereign, into no longer intercoursing with fiat or corporations, into no longer exchanging life force for fiat or corporation, not using my life force to feed or support a corporation. And eventually detangled, unpacked my old life, my old narrative, and learned, remembered, and integrated this new narrative, this new lifestyle, this new journey, or this new part of my journey. It was reasonably challenging and confusing and daunting, because I was a police officer for 10 years and I was working for great money, and I was fiercely independent. and I had all the amenities that life dictated, society dictated that I have. My family was in a great place financially. The bills were paid. My homes had all the amenities to make us have us comfortable, and having to give that up and to step into what self-sovereignty is, and not having to depend or rely on anything external for anything, and to develop me, heal me, realign me, reframe me. It was very lonely and daunting and frightening and all of everything it was. And eventually I got visitations from different terrestrial beings from different places, and they showed showed me certain things, opened portals, showed me certain different things, communicated different things, gifted me with different things, different types of knowledge and awarenesses as to what is going on in the world, where it's happening, why it's happening, who's doing it, and my duty and responsibility, to all of that. And life became from really, really uncertain and frightening and scary and really, really daunting to better and better and better and better. And I learned so much about myself. I remembered so much about myself. I learned so much about the world. I remembered so much about the world. I learned and remembered so much about our evolutionary processes, our ascension process, descension processes, our development process, our reframing processes. And I was able to integrate those learnings and those memories and apply it to myself to improve myself, to develop my self-sovereignty, and to facilitate and guide my family, whose dynamic was really, really ugly, into self-sovereignty, into taking responsibility for everything that they're putting into and allowing out of their mouths and into and out of their spaces. And my family is in a lot more beautiful place than I first met them. Individuals were guided to me along the journey. Some said they dreamt me the night before. Some said they saw me in their meditation. And I was able to facilitate through the new awarenesses that was facilitated to me, to guide, facilitate, and support them back to their authentic alignment, back to their awesomeness, back to their light, back to their sovereignty. And I have been doing that 24/7. I've been facilitating that 24/7, 365 for all these years. And as a result, everything around me at the moment, everyone in my journey at the moment, is left in a better place, in a more nourished place, in a more beautiful place than I first met them. And I am now guided, intuitively guided to upgrade my vocation and to bring me out publicly, officially, publicly, to shine my light brighter and further. And here we are now.
Wonderful. Can we just backtrack, because we forgot to say that where you were born, you were in Trinidad, and when you say your spirit team, like later on in life, your spirit team guided you. From what young age were you aware of your spirit team guiding you? How young were you?
So I can't, at the moment, I can't, it doesn't seem as though I could pinpoint when that is, because from the moment I became aware of consciousness of myself, I knew, or I was aware that I am to do something important in this world. And I knew, I was aware, I intuited, I sensed something was off. And I was brought up in the country, proper jungle, proper bush in the northeast coast of Trinidad. And being the eldest boy, I had the responsibility of doing most things because my dad wasn't really around much. And when he was around, it was a bit violent, abusive, etc. And so I had to go out and do lots of stuff in the night, during the day, etc. And on my periphery, I always saw and sensed things, entities, stuff that I couldn't explain then. And yeah, so I can't particularly pinpoint when that started or how that started from the moment. Yeah.
Well, anyway, from a young age, you had an awareness. Yeah. And obviously your mum was a great teacher because she worked with her spirit team as well.
Not really, my mum was she's from a Hindu background, and when she met my dad and they married, I think because of the lifestyle then, she went into Roman Catholic, and we were all baptized and Christian in Roman Catholic, and we were brought up, praying, holding hands together, praying. We were brought up. I was brought up praying in a praying and my mom was always in praying in the Bible, praying with us, holding hands together, praying. That's how I was brought up.
Right. Now I would love you to share, because I said to you, when you arrived in the UK, how did you deal with the change? Because like going from Trinidad to the UK is very, very different from one end of the scale to the other. So would you like to share how it felt when you landed here?
From a Trinbagonian perspective, coming from Trinidad and Tobago, from perspective, we had this narrative that the queen lives there, they're made of gold, and everyone is urinating ice creams and defecating snowballs, and everything is nice and pristine, and there are rainbows everywhere. That was my headspace coming here. When I came here, it was not like that. It was so not like that. It was a huge culture shock. And I thought I was indoctrinated, programmed, conditioned that everything outside of Trinidad and Tobago is better than Trinidad and Tobago. Any skin complexion that is outside of mine is better than me, is better than Trinidad and Tobago. And when I came here, I didn't find that at all. I find quite the opposite. It was the culture, the culture here, the mentality, the hygiene, the communication, everything was so different. The infrastructure, obviously, a lot better. How it's managed is a different question. However, the infrastructure here is really, really, really a lot more advanced than Trinidad and Tobago. However, I've learned that every culture has its difference, and no culture is better than none, and no, regardless the melanin concentration, none is better than none. None is superior, none is inferior. We are what we are. We are where we're supposed to be. We are a work in progress, upwards and onwards.
Well, you had some great cricketers, didn't you?
It was different. It was soberingly different.
Anyway.
So how about the food? Because that must have been, because like you were eating fresh coconuts and so because obviously your system has got to adjust to the different climate, the energies and the different foods, and like most of our food is shipped in from here, there and everywhere. So that must have been quite a shock to deal with the different foods.
It very much was. the seasoning aspect, was very, very, very different. I grew to even growing into my new narrative. I prefer eating in because it's a lot. I prefer preparing my own nutrition, cooking my own food. The seasoning aspect is very, very different, very, very different from from my background, from where I came from Trinidad and Tobago.
Right. So, because you were divinely guided to come here to the UK, so we are very blessed to have you here. And I know, like, you've had you've been a police officer and a law enforcer and private investigator and coach. You've done many things, and I know that you've got many diplomas. And I know for you now that you want to help those who are still asleep. So my question to you would be, how are you going to awaken those people that are asleep if they don't know they're asleep?
Right. So there is the first port of call to engage anyone who is asleep is patience, compassion, ease, and grace, not being a jury or executioner. And frankly, you hear that someone is asleep or someone is stupid or refer to them as isn't the the health progressive way moving forward. We have all been ingrained with engineered polarity, engineered confusion for an uncomfortably long period. We do not know that we do not know. More than most of us still aren't aware that we are drunk on lust and confusion. Most of us are still unaware that they are programmed, conditioned, indoctrinated under trickery and illusion. More than most is still unaware about the inversion, perversion, subversion, diversion, conversion, contortion, brainwashing, hijacking that has been plaguing the indigenous of Gaia, of Mother Earth, for an uncomfortably long period. More than most is still unaware that we were trafficked from natural law, from natural living states, to a corporation, to a slave state. More than most is unaware that we were trafficked from natural laws, which is inevitable, inescapable, irrefutable, into a jurisdiction of maritime law, admiralty law. Maritime law, admiralty law, their language is legalese. And everything, more than most things that we are aware, is from a corporation, is of a corporation. Religions are of a corporation. Pharmaceuticals are of a corporation. Academia, academics, school, our education system is of a corporation. These things are different forms of programming, conditioning, indoctrination, different levels of trickery and illusion. And those who are still unaware, who are not yet aware of these things, we ought to be respecting them, not particularly accepting them. We ought to be patient, compassionate, kind, and gentle with them. We ought to not be judge, jury, and executioner to them, at them. Excuse me, because we were there at one point, and not because we have or enjoy or chose the awareness now. We ought to be a bully and dictate to them, condescend to them, because we know differently than them. We don't know better than them. We know differently. They are where they're supposed to be as per their soul contract, soul lesson, energetic contract, energetic lesson, because of where they're at on their journey, because of where they're at developmentally, evolutionary, because of where their current conscious state is at. It's reasonable. It does not mean that they would be there forever. Learning, development, evolution is continuously spiraling upwards. It is not a permanent thing. It is a continuously moving thing. Energy doesn't sit still, and we are energy. And our consciousness, conscious states have been manipulated for quite some time. Our genes have, our DNA have been spliced and paired and experimented with and are manipulated for an uncomfortably long period. Our nutrition, our water, our air, the airwaves have been manipulated, engineered for an uncomfortably long period. We were not in our natural states. Some of us still not in our natural, authentic states. And because those who are not yet aware that they are not in their natural, authentic, divine states, we should be judged during execution to them. Because they're not aware that they are in their natural, divine, authentic states, it does not mean that they are asleep. It does not mean that they are stupid. It doesn't mean that they should be referred to as sheeple. It doesn't mean that we should condescend to them. It doesn't mean that they are muggles. It doesn't mean that we should bully them. It doesn't mean that we should marginalize them. It does not. No. When we do so, we are perpetuating, we are feeding, we are contributing to dis-ease in this world. We are perpetuating this collective dis-ease. Our psyche have been diseased for an uncomfortably long period. This is why certain things are being rolled out so slow. This is why there's a perception that the new world being rolled out is so slow and it dragging and all sorts of things being disseminated. The collective is, the psyche of the collective is diseased. A lot of us, with utmost respect and gratitude, a lot of white hats, patriots, healers, light workers, shamans, medicine men, medicine women, priests, leaders, space holders, patriots, anons, apes, etc. A lot of them are still contributing to this disease by using the new awareness, the new clarity, the knowledge that they can access, that they chose, and they've been using that in a superior, condescending way and perpetuating further disease, bringing disease as opposed to bringing ease and bringing together. A lot of them have been contributing to further separation and division, where we're supposed to be really facilitating oneness, unity. And no one is asleep. No one is stupid. No one is sheeple. No one is muggles. No one is retarded or anything like that. We are reasonably diseased. We are diseased. We know where the disease is coming from. We know it's been polarized for a long while. We know it's been engineered for a long while. Take responsibility. Do more, do better. Take responsibility. Be extra gentle, be extra kind, be respectful. Not accept. There's a difference between accepting something and respecting something. We ought to be respecting free will. If I choose to, whatever I choose, that ought to be respected, not accepted. And not because my choices, the way I speak, my tone, my content, my consistency, it reflects, it illuminates, it screams where I'm at developmentally, where I'm at evolutionary, where my current conscious states are at. It reflects how much shadow work that I've attended to and how much shadow work that I've not yet attended to. It reflects how much intuitive reframing I've attended to and have not yet attended to. It reflects how much impulse control that I have attended to, and how much I have not yet attended to. It reflects how much spiritual development, spiritual evolution that I have and have not yet attended to. It does not make me stupid. It does not make me asleep. It doesn't make me a sheeple. It doesn't make me a muggle. It makes me me. It makes me where I'm at, and that ought to be respected, not accepted. If I'm acting in a manner or communicating or behaving in a manner or delivering in a manner that isn't pleasing, whatever pleasing is, there is a reason for it. I should not be judged. I shouldn't be marginalized. I shouldn't be bullied. I shouldn't be victimized. If I am carrying, behaving, sounding, smelling, looking in a certain way, there is a reason for that. The responsible thing now, the compassionate, kind thing now is, okay, Neptune is communicating in a particular way. The emphasis is not that Neptune is communicating in a certain way. Why is Neptune communicating that way? Why is Neptune behaving that way? Where is that coming from? That is the responsible thing now. That is the wise thing now. That is the healthy, constructive, progressive way now, please. Not projecting, not imposing, not dictating, not imprinting my bits and bobs onto Neptune. That was done to us. We ought to be mindful. It is responsible now to be mindful of that and not to perpetuate that, not to bring that from the past into the present, not to repeat that, not to feed that, not to feed into that, not to support that, not to encourage or endorse that. It is healthy to engage as such moving forward, please. We are so diseased. There is so much dis-ease and polarized confusion and engineered confusion. We ought to be mindful of that. And those who are not yet mindful, that's appropriate. That is where they're at. We ought to be holding space, holding the light, holding the line for them by being the example, being graceful, being kind, being compassionate, being awesome, being beautiful, because we are. That is our natural states. We weren't aware of that. We weren't in our natural states because we were drunk on lost on confusion. We were drunk on polarity. We were drunk on and high on programming, conditioning, indoctrination, trickery, and illusion. We were drunk and high on inversion, perversion, subversion, diversion, conversion, contortion, different aspects of brainwashing and hijacking. We did not know that we did not know. And those of us who have more awareness than they had yesterday, 10 years ago, it doesn't mean that their awareness is better than John Doe's awarenesses or Jane Doe's awarenesses. It doesn't mean that. It simply means free will. Everyone has a specific part and purpose, a particular function, role in this life. And that life, the journey in life, it at different stages. So we become aware of certain things at different stages in our life, at different stages in our development. And it is simply that. For example, if a baby poos in their diaper, that's supposed to happen. That's reasonable because that is where that individual is, that child is in their state of development. They will not be pooing in the diaper forever. So when a baby is pooing in the diaper, would we be a judge, jury, and executioner to that baby? Would we punish that baby? Would we marginalize that baby? No, we wouldn't. We would have patience, compassion. We would have patience and compassion. We'll be extra kind, extra gentle, and help and clean whole space for that baby to go through its developmental processes. And some of us, we still pooing on ourselves. I used to do that, even in my so-called adult life. I was doing that, and I was not aware that I was doing that. I was perpetuating and perpetrating stuff mentally, emotionally, psychologically, sexually, nutritionally, physically, verbally, communicatively, energetically, spiritually, and I was not aware of that. Does that mean that I was asleep? Does that mean that I was stupid? Does that mean that I was a sheep or a muggle or retarded. No, it means that is where I was on my journey, and that was not, obviously that was not a permanent place. I chose that. I went through that. I got through that, and I'm still going through that. It's a work in progress. I am a work in progress. Everyone is a work in progress, and not because someone chooses differently from me, from us, we should lock them up and throw them in a jail, or sentence them, or burn them to a stake, or marginalize them, or ostracize them from society, or ostracize them from our communities or groups. No. If someone is acting in a particular way, behaving in a particular way, looking, sounding, smelling a particular way, there is a reason for that, and we ought to respect that, not accept it, and hold space, hold light, hold the line for that individual until they choose better. Their choices are reasonable. Free will means we all enjoy free will. Free will means I am entitled to choose being a donkey and being a darling. Whichever choice I choose, I ought to be respected for that, not accepted. Because that is my free will. I'm entitled to that. That's enshrined in natural law. And that is, I gifted and inherited that right, that entitlement from the Almighty Creator. And my duty and responsibility, your duty and responsibility, is to be awesome, be beautiful, be graceful, be kind, be patient, be compassionate, because you are. We are all now awakening, being provoked, being not forced, but we are all being provoked to awaken, to come to no longer acquiesce, to no longer give our consent, authority, autonomy away to corporations, away to anyone or anything. And not everyone is aware of that yet. And those who are not aware, they shouldn't be bullied, they shouldn't be victimized, they shouldn't be marginalized, they shouldn't be spat on, they shouldn't be referred to as asleep, or as sheeple, or as muggle, or as retarded. No, they are where they are. We know differently. We do not know better than them, because they are on a different journey. Only them on their side of the fence, only us on our side of our fence. The awareness we have is for us to hold light, to create space, to be self-sovereign, to be self-accountable, to engage self-care, to engage self-responsibility, to engage self-development, to engage spiritual development, spiritual evolution, and to be our authentic, divine, natural selves. And in doing so, in minding our business, in staying in our lane, that is what will guide those who are ready, who are receptive, and who isn't ready, who isn't receptive. That's appropriate. That's none of our business. Our business is to be awesome. And yeah.
Hey, mate. Hey, very informative. Now we've got to get to the meat. And the meat seems to be that we wouldn't be in this predicament or world if it wasn't for the exchange of goods and services through the use of barter originally, and now it's come to currency and the advent of the monetary financial gains that have been employed by certain individuals who were able to create the banking system, and from the banking system became greed, and the greed then moved into all those areas that you've just spoken about in the corporization. The question I'm asking you is that for people to become more aware of what's going on is the world of sovereignty, and asking them, well, do you know that you've been captured, if that's the best word, tagged and released to play this game of slavery, of working your 40 hours a week, put a roof over your head, get the kids to school, and be part of this organization or this organism, yeah? And what you're saying, if I understand it correctly, that's not natural law, LORE. It's the fact that you've been manipulated into a group of individuals who saw a way for commerce to buy and exchange goods through paper currency. And now what you really got to step forward and say, we want to move out of that world and we want to get into a world of natural law. And if I'm not mistaken, somewhere in there was the concept of Rudolf Steiner of the education system, where you step back and you use the creativity process coming from the right side of the brain, and rather than the left side of the brain in the early formative years. And by being in the creative process, you're going to have more people who are going to be in the world of artisan creativity, merging the physics into quantum theories from a right brain rather than the left brain, because you now come back into a natural symbiotic relationship with the earth itself by grounding into the earth, being fully aware that the earth itself has ley lines, which is like a meridian in the physical body. And once you step into that realm, a bit like the movie White Men Can't Jump, the indigenous people have the rhythm. The white man's lost the rhythm. So if I'm not mistaken, your conversation really is about, if you're going to awake, you got to wake the creative side of the humanity. Is that where we're going with this conversation?
Largely, yes. That's a really broad perspective there, Jeff. So the thing with that is, we are in a world of asset-based, asset-backed digital trading. It is here. Freedom is here. The old war has been won. There were different battles at different stages throughout the eons, throughout the centuries, throughout the years. There were different battles. All those battles have been won. The light has won. That aside, we are in a new financial place. We are in a new economic place and state at the moment. Not everyone yet is aware of that, and that is reasonable. The thing to comprehend, there is a reason why governments and its structure and its policies didn't work. There's a reason why the police service and militaries around the world did not work. There's a reason for that. The banking system, taxation, there's a reason for that. These things, financially, the financial, why it was so challenging, so difficult, so messy financially, is because we were in a corporation. We were slaves. We were chattel livestock team. We were victims. We happened when our birth paper, our birth certificate was registered, and hence handing us over from natural into the jurisdiction and admiralty law, which language is legalese. That is why, because it is not a natural jurisdiction. It is a jurisdiction not made by man, whatever man is. It was a jurisdiction, a trap, a corporation, a matrix that was created to enslave us. This enslavement was going on, has been going on for quite some time, when our natural or divine evolutionary processes were hijacked by non-human beings, not man. Man didn't do this. So some man, whatever man is, were hijacked, were possessed, were programmed, conditioned, indoctrinated into, or threatened or blackmailed into, the things that man now seems to be doing. That aside, fractional banking. Not everyone is aware of fractional banking. That is why things never made sense financially. Part of our processes, fractional banking is still a thing and it is short-lived. It is on its last leg, literally. It's on its last leg. It's on its back leg. It's officially ended. However, some aspects of fractional banking is still allowed. It's not going on. It's closely monitored by non-human and human beings, non-physical and physical beings, because we are in the transition away from control, away from the Piscean age, the Kali Yuga age, into the Aquarius age, age of Aquarius, which is an aspect of the golden age. Gold.
I'll just stop you there for a sec. You just said fractional banking. A lot of people, and you mentioned that people won't understand it. So I think I might just step back and let people know. So the Rothschild system is based on London City, and those top 25 banks can lend out. If you give them $1, they can then lend out that dollar 40 times, and they make their interest on the basis that they've lent that money out 40 times. So you thinking that when you see term deposit at 5%, at 3%, and they're lending at 5%. So you think that they're actually making 2%. But in fact, those top 25 banks are actually lending it out 39 times at 5%. That's where their margin is. And so they're actually making money on your money. And where you go off to work, these people are just putting zeros on a piece of document, and they're not even actually working for it. And then they want an asset on the basis that we give you this money on a piece of paper, and so the government or the country of the seeking their funds have to give them some sort of asset. That asset usually goes into a Paris-based organisation called World Heritage Listing, and as a consequence, then the bank then issues these pieces of paper with zeros and zeros and zeros on it, and then you've got to pay the interest on it. So fractional banking. Okay, so let's move on. Yeah, just brought everybody up to speed.
So the thing is that nothing was, these corporations, these systems from these corporations, these governments, which are corporations, police service, military, which are corporations, these religions, which are corporations, there's a reason why they didn't work. It wasn't designed to serve us. It didn't design for our highest and greatest good. It was designed, it was created, it was perpetuated to enslave us, to restrict us, to separate and divide us from our authentic alignment, to separate and divide us from our authentic natural well-being, clarity, awareness, etc. To separate and divide us from our natural, innate abundance and prosperity. These things are slave systems, and those who are not yet aware of it, they shouldn't be bullied, they shouldn't be victimized, they shouldn't be marginalized, they shouldn't be condescended to, they shouldn't be referred to as sheep or sheeple or asleep or muggles. It shouldn't be anymore. In doing so is perpetuating the old. In doing so is bringing, perpetuating dis-ease to the collective's psyche, and that dis-ease of the collective psyche is what has slowed things down. It's what has parts of it anyway. Because things, frankly, they are not slowed down. It's eons, millennia, centuries of installations, of agendas, of building certain things here on earth that are being demolished. What we have been experiencing is a controlled demolition of the old, and whilst that is going on simultaneously in the background, the new system, the new digital asset-backed, asset-based trading system is being implemented in the background. It is here. When you apply critical thinking using your intuition, you will learn that gold is back in circulation, that there are systems that are far beyond artificial intelligence, that is installed in the background and being slowly rolled out to financially free and liberate us, to restore us, to restore things, not back to how it's where it was to the energetic alignment of the new world, of the new age that we are currently in. We are no longer in that old world. We are no longer in that old place. How we met the world when we first came here, it's not, those things aren't as it was anymore. And things will continue to get easier and better and clearer and healthier and more constructive and more progressive. That those things, there's nothing that could keep those things back. There's nothing that could hold that back. There's nothing that could slow that down anymore. However, perpetuating dis-ease, further dis-ease, that could slow things down. Spewing, projecting, imposing, dictating your perspective, which is only for you, and likely to slow things down. Not taking responsibility, not being respectful to someone's engagement of their free will, that can slow things down. Not being accountable for yourself, not being accountable for your intentions, your thoughts, your words, your deeds, your tone, content, consistency, that can slow things down. The priority at the moment as to all that has been accomplished so far and all that is to be still rolled out in this world, the priority in all of that is the external is sorted. The external is really, really sorted because the war has been won, the light has won. The priority now is internal. Charity begins at home. Take responsibility for your intentions, your thoughts, your words, your spell casting, your tone, your content, your consistency. That is that is the key for everything at the moment. That is the key, please. Reframing how you are perceiving or looking at yourself, at your processes, at the world, at someone else, at something else. Reframing that, because everything was top down. Down was up. Up was down. Everything was inverted, perverted, subverted, converted, diverted, contorted for an uncomfortably long while. And self-sovereignty dictates we ought to avail ourselves, do our own independent research stuff objectively without expecting or attaching to an outcome of the research or of the investigation, and using our intuition, relaxing on the intellect, relying on the intuition, and looking at things objectively with an open mind, an open heart, to learn, not to prove anything, to learn. What is this? Where is it coming from? Why? What can I do beautiful about it? That is the approach moving forward, please. With reference to everything else, charity begins at home. It's on us. It's on us to choose more healthily, choose more constructively, engage our free will more healthily, more constructively, more mindfully, more intently, and not. The premise of natural law is, more or less, don't bear harm or dis-ease unto anyone or anything. We ought to not be. It is required, it is necessary, it is wise, it is constructive, it is healthy, it is poignant, it is critical to not bear any dis-ease unto anyone or anything, not to bear further dis-ease unto ourselves or our processes, not to bear dis-ease unto anyone, anything, not to bear dis-ease unto someone's engagement of their free will. We bear dis-ease. What can be dis-easing is our intentions, our thoughts, our words, our tone, content, consistency. The vibration of that can be dis-easing. Cymatics. Cymatics is more or less, each words are spells. Each word have a vibration, a resonance. The nature, the world, the multiverse, our spirit teams, they act on the words, the vibration of the words. So cymatics is really the words we're using. We ought to be mindful of the words that we're using, because most of it is legalese. Most of it is designed to lock us out of certain things and lock us into certain things, usually low vibrating, artificial, unnatural things. So the words we're using, it's a spell or a curse, so to speak. The words that we're using can bear dis-ease, further dis-ease to our processes, to the collective, to our current accelerated planetary liberation and restoration processes. The words we use are critical. Yeah.
Totally. Wow. I was going to ask you, you mentioned earlier that, or in your bio, that you met or communicated with terrestrial beings. Is there anything you'd like to share about that?
Free will dictates we could engage any choice. There's no right or wrong or good or bad with reference to free will. The awareness around free will is there's a consequence to everything. And we are the bearer of those consequences, no matter what your resonance is on this. Please, we will continue to bear the consequences of all our intentions, thoughts, tone, content, consistency. The thing is the awareness of free will and how amazing and sacred and powerful that is, and how we could use that, engage that to liberate and restore ourselves, to liberate and restore the world, to liberate and restore Mother Earth and the collective more. Further, we have been using legalese, we have been engaging legalese, words that are traps and that are spells and that lock us into low vibrating states, spew or project low vibrating frequencies out into the multiverse, out into the world, out into our aura, our biofield, our electromagnetic field. And those energies, this low vibrating energies, are around us. And according to natural law, like energies attract, we are the ones who have been attracting not so beautiful things, and we are the ones that have been attracting beautiful things based on the vibration, the frequencies of our thoughts, of our intentions, of our words, spells, tone, content, consistency. There's a vibration of frequency to everything. And as we have been using this legalese ignorantly, unknowingly for so long, it created a particular type of energy around us. And that is what attracts, has been attracting certain situations, circumstances, dynamics, personalities, attitudes, etc. We are responsible for that, no one else. We are responsible for everything that is in our space. Everything that is happening in the world now, we are responsible for it. Because all our intentions, thoughts, words, tone, content, consistency is projected, it reverberates out into the multiverse. We have been contributing to all the beautiful things in this world, and we have been contributing to all the things that aren't so beautiful in this world. And being able to be aware of that and to reframe, alchemize, transmute our inner dialogue, our thoughts, our words, our spells, our tone, content, consistency, reframing that, alchemizing that, transmuting that is what is the key, is the crux of really doing something beautiful in this world, is poignant for bringing ease, more light into this world. The simple vibration, the simple resonance, the simple frequency of our thoughts that we alone are responsible for, because it's happening on our side of our fence. We alone are on our side of our fence. We are responsible for that. It is our duty and responsibility to reframe how we perceiving ourselves, how we perceiving our processes, how we perceiving others, how we perceiving the world. We are going to do so as victims and slaves. We are going to do so as students. We are students. We are students of ourselves. We are students of our creatorship. We are students of our light. We are students of our alchemy. We are students of our deityhood. We are students of our awesomeness. We are students of our beauty. We are students of our grace. These things were gifted and inherited from the Almighty Creator. These things are refutable. So being a student, taking responsibility and doing something beautiful about it, as opposed to being a victim, being a slave, which we were engineered to be, and flipping it on its head. Appreciating and respecting the victimhood, the lack, the slavery thing, and outsourcing responsibility and pointing fingers and blaming this one, blaming that one, blaming our parents, blaming the government, blaming the police service, blaming the military, blaming the religion, blaming this one, blaming that one. Reframe that, redirect that energy, revert that energy, that presence, that awareness, your essence, your life force from doing that. Redirect that, bring it back home, bring it back to center, take responsibility, do something beautiful. Whatever you do, it ought to be beautiful. It ought to be amazing, because you are beautiful. You are amazing. You are wonderful. So why not reframe? Why not choose to take responsibility and reframe your thoughts into something amazing? Reframe your words, your language, your vocabulary into something beautiful. Your intention into something beautiful and amazing. Your tone, content, consistency into something beautiful and amazing. If you're not doing that respectfully, that's hypocrisy. If you're not doing that, you are abandoning and neglecting and forsaking your awesomeness, your duty and responsibility to what is going on in the world. And that is reasonable. It's a fact, and it's reasonable because you maybe still haven't yet aware about taking responsibility to detangle and unpack your own narrative, detangle and unpack from the generational, ingrained, systematic, polarized, engineered programming, conditioning, indoctrination, trickery, and illusion. Our duty and responsibility is to avail ourselves to our thoughts, the frequencies of our thoughts, how constructive our thoughts are, and our intention, how constructive and they are, and our tone, content, consistency, words, spellcasting, how constructive they are or aren't, and reframing that into something amazing as you know you are. You know you're amazing. You know you're beautiful. You know that you're awesome. Be authentic with that. Be loyal to that. Do not deviate from that. When you deviate from that, you're not being loyal to yourself. You're not being authentic and truthful with yourself. You're not being real with yourself when you do that. Not everyone is aware of that. Those who aren't yet aware, please, they're not asleep. They're not stupid. They're not retarded. They're not sheeple. They're not muggles. They are where they're supposed to be. You who have the awareness, enjoys the awareness, apply the awareness. Don't just have it and I have the awareness, I'm enlightened, I'm awake, and not apply it. Perspective.
Hey, people watching the show would hear you speaking, and it's a mental conscript that you're putting forward. But while you're talking, I actually was seeing the practicalities of bringing people to what you're articulating. And if I go back into late 60s, the Dallas Cowboys pioneered a system where they would film their specialized teams, and then they put them into float tanks and then replay that particular person's position. So they were doing the visualization, because the humanity at the time hadn't reached its vibration of being creative visualization. And so they did it through film, the old reels, and then put them into a saline solution where they were suspended so they could actually absorb what was going on. The East Germans did the actual creative visualization with their sports teams. And then along came Alpha Dynamics and the Silva method, the guy who was from the US Army, Navy Corps, and he happened to be reading to his children. And he said, "You're not listening to what I've said." And the kids said, "Yes, Dad." And they repeated verbally what his father had said, because he then found out that they'd actually dropped out of their alpha wave and they'd gone into the theta wave, and they were able to absorb what was being said. And of course, now we go to the meditation principles of going into creative visualization. And so you're seeing the template, if I'm looking at this correctly, by taking on all the words that you've said and then bring them, the construct together. The first thing to do is do a complete defrag of all the previous programming that's been going on. And then you got to put the boot in, if you want to call it, or reboot your audio software program, and then come back to the master template of who you are divinely brought into this world, and then accentuate who you really are. And that seems to be, you do that on a visualization going within, and whether those techniques are visualization or meditation or yoga, qigong, tai chi, swimming, any of those avenues, even if it's sitting down and eating a mango. I mean, something that's completely away from your mainstream narrative that we've been conditioned to accept. That seems to be more the practical measure of what you're articulating. Am I correct in that assumption?
Largely, yes, please, in that. So when you look at it from the following perspective, we are light. We are energy, we are light. We were gifted and inherited this light from the Almighty Creator, irrefutable. Light cannot be broken, damaged, or destroyed. Light shines, light could only shine brighter. So if we are light, which we are, aspects of light, then nothing is happening to us. No one could do us anything. What is happening is just us mentally being able to reframe stuff. This isn't happening to me. This isn't happening at me. This is happening for me, through me. This can only help me. This is a lesson. This is something developmental. This is something nutritious. It cannot do me anything because I'm no longer a victim. I'm no longer a slave. I was engineered to be a victim and a slave. I am choosing to not accept that narrative, to not accept that imprint, to not accept that which was imposed, dictated, projected onto me. I am choosing to not accept that anymore. I'm choosing to flip that on its head. I'm choosing to engage my free will to reframe that, to alchemize that, to transmute that into a lesson. This can only nourish me. This can only serve my highest and greatest good. This can only facilitate some aspect of development, because I cannot be damaged, broken, or destroyed. I can only ascend, develop, evolve, expand. That's on me. That's a mental thing. So anything that is happening, anything that someone is saying or doing, none of my business. Mind my business, stay in my lane. Anything someone is doing or saying, I am observing it. I am not reacting to it. I am not taking it personal. I am not making it personal. I am choosing to reframe that, respect that for what it is, where it's at. Leave it where it's at. Do not bring it into your lane, into your space, into your fields, and learn from it. Make it your guru. Transition it, transform it, reframe it into your guru. How can I learn from this? How can I do better as a result of this? How can I do more as a result of this? Reframe it into your guru. someone's attitude, personality, behavior, tone, content, consistency, action, reframe that into your guru, reframe that into a lesson, reframe that into something development or nutritious or nourishing. That is a choice. Those who aren't yet aware of that, they're not asleep. They're not sheeple. They're not retarded. They're not stupid. They're not muggles. They are, that is what they choose, and we ought to respect that. It is up to us to respect it for where it is and alchemize it, reframe it into something that serves a higher and greater good, or our higher and greater good. That's a choice.
Andrea?
Yeah. We're with you every step of the way. What you're saying, totally understand what you're saying. So as we're coming to the end of the show, is there anything else you would like to share, or any words of wisdom to leave us with today? Even though you've given us a whole hour of many words of wisdom.
So the thing is, we are beautiful and amazing. We are not man. We don't know what man is. This species or race that is man, we don't know what that is anymore, because they've been splitting and splicing and manipulating our DNA for so very long. We don't know what man is. We don't know what mankind is. We don't know what humanity is anymore. We are more than that. We are creators. We are sovereigns. We are alchemists. We are light. We are beautiful. We are awesome. We are more than what they tricked us into taking on board. We are more than that. We are beautiful, amazing, and awesome. We cannot be broken, damaged, or destroyed. We are to shine. We can shine and only shine brighter. We can only shine brighter. The world requires more light. We are the light. The world requires medicine, solutions, remedies. We are the medicine. We are the solution. We are the remedy. It's us. And it's easier to access that now because of the awareness, the new awareness that is facilitated, and that will continue to be facilitated. We are awesome. Nothing is wrong with us. We are where we are supposed to be, and it is a lesson. The thing is to learn the lesson. After you learn the lesson, you integrate the lesson. After you integrate the lesson, you apply the lesson. After you apply the lesson, the experience vibrates higher. And that is what makes the difference. Identifying the lesson, learning the lesson, integrating the lesson, and applying the lesson. We are beautiful. We are amazing. We could do this. It's easier to do it now. We're not supposed to be efforts, because we didn't learn to write in one day. We did to walk in one day or do anything. Practice, education, commitment to our awesomeness, to nurturing our awesomeness, to developing our awesomeness, to healing our awesomeness, to reframing, alchemizing, transmuting our awesomeness, developing and evolving our awesomeness. That is, it happens on our side of our hands. We have the tenacity. That is what the free will is. We choose to be awesome. We choose to be a slave or a victim. Whatever the choice is, there's no right or wrong or good or bad. Free will. We are amazing. Keep it amazing. Be loyal to that amazingness. Develop, nurture, feed, nourish, cultivate that awesomeness, please.
Well, it's been amazing and awesome to have you on the show today. It's been an absolute delight, and thank you for sharing all your wisdom.
My pleasure. Namaste.
Very good.
Namaste to you. And
gratitude for having
same
me,
time. Oh, our pleasure. And thank you to Dee for putting you forward. And so same time, same place next week, everybody. And thank you for listening.